Imagine walking into a room filled with strangers. Before a single word is spoken, before anyone shakes your hand, before you even realize it, your brain has already decided who looks trustworthy, who seems intelligent, who feels dangerous, and who deserves your attention. It all happens in less than a second. Most people believe they make rational decisions about others. But psychology tells a very different story. Long before conscious thought begins, your brain is working like an ancient survival machine, scanning faces, body language, clothing, posture, eye contact, and countless tiny details. And the frightening part? Most of those first judgments are wrong. Yet they continue shaping friendships, careers, relationships, elections, and even court verdicts every single day. This is the hidden psychology behind first impressions. Imagine our ancestors walking through dense forests thousands of years ago. There was no internet, no police, no hospitals, no second chances. Seeing another human approaching forced one urgent question: friend or enemy? The people who answered quickly survived. The people who hesitated often didn't. Evolution rewarded speed more than accuracy. That ancient survival system still lives inside your brain today. Even though you're no longer escaping predators, your mind continues making split-second judgments because it believes speed equals safety. Psychologists call this thin slicing. It refers to our remarkable ability to make surprisingly detailed judgments from extremely small pieces of information. Within milliseconds, your brain notices facial symmetry, eye movement, voice tone, walking style, clothing, personal grooming, confidence, all before conscious reasoning catches up. Some of these judgments can be surprisingly accurate. Others become dangerously misleading. One famous study by psychologist Nalini Ambady found that students could accurately predict teacher evaluations after watching only a few seconds of silent classroom footage. No dialogue, no lesson, just body language. Those few seconds revealed confidence, warmth, enthusiasm, and authority. But while thin slicing sometimes works, it also creates one of the biggest psychological traps we face: the halo effect. Imagine meeting someone exceptionally attractive. Without realizing it, your brain begins assigning other positive qualities. You assume they're intelligent, kind, honest, competent, successful. None of those traits have actually been proven. Your brain simply connects beauty with goodness. This cognitive shortcut influences hiring decisions, dating choices, political campaigns, advertising, and even criminal trials. Research consistently shows that attractive people often receive lighter sentences in court, earn higher salaries, and are viewed as more trustworthy, not because they actually are, but because our brains unconsciously connect appearance with character. The opposite also happens, known as the horn effect. One negative detail, a scar, awkward posture, poor clothing, nervous behavior, or attire expression can cause people to assume someone is unfriendly, incompetent, or dishonest. Reality rarely matches these assumptions, yet they influence our behavior almost instantly. Another invisible force shaping first impressions is confirmation bias. Once you form an opinion about someone, your brain begins searching for evidence that proves you were right. If your first impression was positive, you'll overlook mistakes. If it was negative, you'll notice every flaw. This creates a psychological loop. The more evidence you notice, the more confident you become, even if your original judgment was completely wrong. Imagine meeting a quiet coworker. You assume they're unfriendly. Days later, they simply forget to greet you. Your brain says, "See, I knew it." But perhaps they were distracted. Perhaps they were anxious. Perhaps they never even noticed you. The story exists mostly inside your own mind. Our emotions also play a powerful role. If you're stressed, you're more likely to perceive strangers as threatening. If you're happy, you'll often see them as friendlier than they really are. Even something as simple as poor sleep can change the way you judge another person's face. Your emotional state becomes a filter through which the entire world is interpreted. Culture shapes first impressions too. Different societies value different behaviors. In some cultures, direct eye contact signals confidence. In others, it can appear disrespectful. A firm handshake might communicate strength in one country and aggression in another. Our brains quietly learn these cultural rules throughout childhood. We mistake familiarity for truth. One of the most fascinating demonstrations of first impressions came from studies on political elections. Researchers showed participants photographs of unfamiliar political candidates. For only a fraction of a second, people consistently chose which candidate looked more competent. Remarkably, those snap judgments often predicted the actual election winners, not because voters understood policy, but because appearance strongly influenced perceived leadership. It raises an uncomfortable question. How many of our biggest life decisions are guided by reason and how many by instinct? First impressions don't just affect how we judge others. They shape how others judge us. Your clothing, your posture, your facial expressions, your voice, even how quickly you smile, all become signals people use to construct an entire story about who you are. Sometimes that story is accurate. Often, it isn't. This is why confidence matters. Not because confident people are always more capable, but because confidence changes perception. People frequently mistake confidence for competence. Yet psychology reminds us these are entirely different qualities. One can be learned, the other must be earned. Perhaps the greatest lesson is this. Your brain isn't trying to discover the truth. It's trying to reduce uncertainty. Ambiguity feels uncomfortable. Quick judgments provide emotional relief. They make a complex world feel simpler. But simplicity often comes at the cost of accuracy. The next time you instantly like someone, pause. Ask yourself why. The next time someone makes a bad first impression, pause again. Remember that you're seeing only a tiny fragment of an entire human life. Every stranger carries experiences you'll never immediately recognize. Hidden fears, private struggles, unspoken dreams, invisible victories. No first impression can capture the complexity of a human being. Psychology doesn't teach us to stop making first impressions. That may be impossible. Instead, it teaches us something far more valuable, to question them, because sometimes the person you almost ignored becomes your closest friend. The applicant you almost rejected becomes your best employee. The stranger you misunderstood changes your life forever. And perhaps the most important first impression you'll ever challenge is the one your own mind creates. So before you trust your instincts completely, ask yourself one question. Are you seeing the person in front of you, or are you seeing the story your brain created in less than a second? If this video changed the way you think about human behavior, subscribe to Stories Behind Behavior for more psychology documentaries that reveal the invisible forces shaping our everyday decisions.